Hey, good morning, all. Good morning. Yes, it's early morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. It is Friday. Boy, it seems like Fridays come quicker and quicker. The days are going quicker to me. Where did this week go? It's already Friday. Yes, it's early Friday morning. It is September, I'm sorry, can't believe I said that. July 15th, 2022. And the time is now about 1:17 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I'm just climbing into bed right now, and watching more videos. And it seems like now when I go to bed, it's like I need to wind down, and something you overloaded with information. Um, it's just a means of you just um, winding down from everything, sorting things out in your mind. And so I do that also through making videos. Yeah. So yes, I hope your day went well. Yesterday, yesterday I did go out with the dogs. It was very hot, yes. Even though I left the my place early, it was still very hot. So yes, um, summer is alive and well. I mean, it was pretty cool, you know, even last week, early morning. It was really nice. So I thought, hey, just do your early morning walks and get back before the sun really beats down on you. Now, yeah. So, anyways, um, I like to give a condolence. Yeah, Ivana Trump. She was the first wife of um, Donald Trump, and yes, I want to give my condolences. I learned about it early yesterday afternoon. Yeah, I was just on my computer, and I saw I had to go on a different browser, and then this new browser puts up news footage, print. And so I saw something with something about Ivana. I said, oh my goodness, what is this? So yeah, my condolences to the family of Ivana Trump and her friends and everything. Um, I I mm, I was very surprised. I didn't hear any news that she wasn't well. She did die at home. Um, the news had said, may she rest in peace and power and luxury. And yeah, I'm from New York City, born and raised, and still living there in New York City. And I don't know a lot about Ivana Trump, other than that, who she was married to. Um, she looked like a very regal lady. She liked the fine things in life. She's from Europe, and she had a very strong accent. That's what I knew her as. And wow, she was only 73. I don't know what happened. So if anybody knows what was the cause of it, yeah, I think the news came out around 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, on Thursday, around 2 o'clock, and I think I found out about it around 4 o'clock. Because when I saw the news and clicked on to get the story, it said that it was uploaded. It was around 2 hours prior to my opening it. So yeah, I got to find out early. Um, what do I know of her? It's really something. Yeah, when yeah, I was, let's see, I was like late teens, early 20s. Uh, when the couple was living in New York City, and they were like a fixture in pop culture. And even though like I was, I didn't follow politics back then. I was very intimidated by the news and older people. I was like very. I'm not the same person. Well, let me put it this way. I just have more knowledge, and so when you're a youngster, you perceive the world and adults and the adult life almost like an us and them. So they were they were in my peripherals, and there was a divorce between the couple because of infidelity on the husband's part, and she was in like pop culture in the movies. They might have her in on a cameo in a movie, and even though they had a divorce, they still stayed in contact. Because they have kids together, and her kids were relatively young. Let's see, if I was, let's see, yeah, they were young. They were young. They were. Her kids are much younger than me, and yeah, I remember she was in this movie, and they um, she says like a punchline, like, "Oh, don't get mad, just take everything," something like that. And it was funny. It was poking fun of a situation as they have in the movie. And the popcorn, everybody knew who she was, and it was said in fun. The former couple, they stayed amiable, I guess for the kids' sake. And in fact, Donald had hosted her wedding. She got remarried. Yes, Ivana Trump had gotten remarried, and I think they held, what was that? I don't want to give the wrong information, but they I think he's something. I think it was one of his clubs or something that she had the wedding, and he might have even been invited. It was very amiable, and she had married a much younger guy, um, and I think she did have a prenup, but she made the best of her life and everything, post divorce, and they stayed in contact. So it's devastating for your loved one to pass away. And yeah, she was part of pop culture in New York City. Even though I didn't really, I didn't follow politics, nor did I like politics, and I was intimidated by politics. And yeah, I wasn't a talker like you hear me now. I would never be doing something like this back in the day when I was my late teens or even the early 20s. I was really um, shy and quiet. But it's amazing what social media does to you. Yeah, and what age does to you too when you get older. And I think also, I discussing it's really something. See, we're all changed. We're all going through your own journey. And I remember, and I've shared this before. Um, I knew someone a black woman from the South, and there was a program And I'm not from the South, but the show that came on TV, she used to watch, and I'm thinking, why would she watch that show? And I think my mindset back then, and my limited mindset was that, well, why would you watch something if people like that had, a society that discriminated against you? And, but now, I mean, that's what I said to myself. I was like, really, like, why would you watch that? But it hit me. And I learned why when it visited me. Um, I live in New York City, and growing up here as a youngster, the social climate was extremely tense and triggered against black people. And but I watched this program, this thing on YouTube, a YouTube channel, and I watched this guy's channel. He's from a group that, we're not, um, we're in two different social groups. We have different life experiences. He's from a different race. But I watch his program. I watch his program. He walks around New York City, and he might interview. He has like a guest speaker, or he just walks around with his camera, doing a live stream. And I used to do that too. Remember about a year ago, I stopped a year ago around this time. A year ago, August, this coming August will make it a year. But I used to do the same thing. We both live in the same, pretty close to the same neighborhood. We live in walking distance from each other. And during the COVID, I found his channel by accident. And I was an avid fan. I really liked this program. Even though he's from a group that we don't socialize. We don't socialize historically. But I watch his program because he's from my town. And during the lockdown and everything, you just want to you want to feel connected, right? And when I found his channel, and I said, oh wow, I walk in that area too. He was right in the neighborhood that I go, where I go all the time. So it made me feel connected. It made me feel like I'm sharing something with somebody. We have something in common. What we have in common, we live in the walking distance from each other, and we both do live streams in the same neighborhood or around the same area. He talks about current events and everything. See, now I watch a lot of YouTube and get uh, pop culture. And growing up, I was raised by television. So television have programs, but social media is more of current events, what's going on. That's generally what I watch. I'm not watching television programs, a bunch of actors. I watch things, social events in the news. So I answer my question regarding this person from years ago who's originally from the South, and then moved up north, and then watching a program with people from a different social, economic, and racial group from her, and I didn't understand. But now I'm an adult, as she was, and I understand. People are social creatures, and when something, when you're younger, you may feel one way about life, but when you get older, and we like to reminisce, we like to connect with people, and when you're removed by a event because of time, 20, 30, 40, 50 years past, it's just more like a relic. It's just something in the past, and something you've may have overcome. It's no longer an issue. So it's just, an event. And sometimes these events you can revisit, whatever. But now you think of that event through different eyes. And it's like we all play our part in the play. And at the time when the play is going on, it feels very real. It's very intense. You get emotional. But like they said, this too will pass. These past 2 years were very intense. I would say the most intense for me in my life. And I'm hoping 10, 20, 30 years from now, it'll be just a relic to me too. It'll be just a conversation. Just imagine what Hollywood, television or the movies, they're probably going to depict, this time period like a relic. Like, oh yeah, remember what were you doing at the time of COVID? Well, where were you, during the time when this and that was happening? And that's why during, 2020, I was taking videos. I was walking, doing live streams in 2020 because I felt, hey, I want to document what's going on. I documented when it was so ghost town in New York City. It reached its peak of ghost town, and then boom, they said, okay, we're gonna remove some of the restrictions, and then people came out. It was unreal. It's like, wow. So yeah, with Ivana Trump, yeah, she was in popular culture. She lived in New York City. And I could, walk past where that family used to live. Yep. I used to even work on that block. I used to work, yeah, not right on that block around the corner. Yeah, it's a swanky area. What I thought was a swanky area, you know. Yeah, the how I feel about New York, the that would be like the East Side. The East Side is known for being more expensive. It's a more expensive residential area and the shops. But all that is changing. The types of shops, it's not the same. To me, it's not the same. And you don't get the same type of help. And it's different. It's going. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. It's going down sharply. The the type of help you get in these stores. I don't care for it. When I first entered New York City, I went to Hunter College initially. That's in a real swanky area. What might be considered a swanky area? Park Avenue. It's between Park Avenue and Lexington Avenue, on 68th Street. Yeah, very. You have shops catering to families, I remember the stores for, baby wear, things like that, so I guess, young families starting out. I remember those. Yeah, the type of stores that the very affluent lives just seem very different. The type of things they have, they're more like pampering stuff, things that, you know, you may not really need, but they have it there. And then on the west side, uh, just different, just more practical stuff. Yeah. So yeah, this is my city, and shared with millions of people. And we had someone that lived here in town, not too far from where I live, and she passed away. And she and her family were part of pop culture. They poke fun of themselves, and the rest is history, right? Yeah, and I was told that she wrote a book about um, experiences. So yeah, maybe she rests in peace. Yeah, or rest in power. So I just wanted to get that out the way. Yeah, I get very nostalgic. Yeah, we're all getting older, people. All of us. I'm not a teenager anymore. Yeah, I'll be 60 years old. Ivanna was 73, so she was 14 years older than me. He asked us, so where will any of us be, let's say 13 or even 20 years from now? So you start to feel a little bit more humble about yourself, and you want to create meaning out of your life. Yeah, I want to make meaning out of my life. And I think in the early days, life for me was just very, very restricted. And everything seemed to be focused on what I was not. Um, I think I was limiting myself. And again, it's a part of the program. Yes, we live in life, and living in a big city, a big country, and under television, you get programmed. You get programmed by every aspect of yourself. And if you're sensitive like I am, you take it to heart. So that leads me into now, like I see this is really a spiritual journey for me. And I'm constantly changing and evolving, going up, going down. But it's my life, and I ask you, are you going through the same thing? You going through ups and downs, an emotional roller coaster, your past relived, or revisited, I should say. Yeah, that's what I meant to say, revisited. But it's all part of the process. Everything that we go through is all part of the process. So this leads me to this video I was watching. First time seeing this YouTuber, um, and I felt irritated. And I wonder whether you guys might feel the same way. Are you being triggered the same way when it comes to race and racism, and race card and history? Yes, the past 2 years has been focused very greatly on the race relations in large urban centers in America. And I feel it. I think many of us feel it, and we're tired of it too. And there's a movement to um, encourage Black America to move. But seeing this program, you know, I have a perspective now, a different perspective, or I should say, um, I feel more triggered. I don't mean triggered in, going off, but and a more of an awakening, an awareness about and trying to put things in perspective. See, there's always a narrative out there. And yes, for the past, especially the past 2 years, a narrative and a victimization uh, upon Black people, Black America, a victimhood, the pandering to Black America. Vote for me, and because so and so is a bad person, and pointing fingers, and unfortunately, many of us fell for it. But I was watching this program again, and I think what there were certain things that bothered me about the program. I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel that some of us on YouTube land are pandering to the sensitivities of Black America. And I just feel it's just to twist it and to, and it's not, I feel that like, it's not that they really care, it's just something, it's not really even affecting them, but I almost felt like he's pretending that it's bothering him. And I don't wish to sound insensitive because he is who he is. And I cannot judge what's in his heart. I don't know him. But it's how it's making me feel. And this is what I want to share with you. So I'm wondering whether any of you are experiencing these emotions or attitude changes. So this person, I don't know his name or anything, and it's the first and only time I ever saw the the person's channel, or what was uploaded with him. A young African man. He could be like in his 20s, mid to upper 20s. Very tall, very big bone, real, very athletic looking person of West African ancestry. I'm not sure if they gave what country he's from, and I don't want to give wrong information. But he was talking about a particular country in Benin. Benin is a country in West Africa. It's right next to Nigeria. And it's right next to Togo. And what's that other country? And Ghana. And he was showing some historical things on. I think he talked about Dahomey. It's a former kingdom in West Africa that ruled at one time. They had a big influence. And I think this kingdom could have also extend to Benin. And he shared about that he was talking about the slave trade and slavery. But I felt like how he was acting. I don't know. Not, I just, I think what was irritating me, he was a big guy. He's African born and African raised, and still living on the continent. But again, Africa is not a country, but a large continent with with 54 countries and many ethnic groups, languages, religions, etc. But yes, we do often speak of it as a country. But yes, but it's a continent. Just like you have Asia and you have Europe. Those are all continents and they're not countries. And they're unique from each other. But anyways, I see a big guy, and he they had the camera follow him, and he's walking down. Um, he's talking about the slave trade, and he was in Benin, and Benin had slavery. I mean, it took away people who were to be enslaved. You know, it has a port. You know, it's a coastal country, and many people were kidnapped and sold overseas. And so he walked down this one path. There was like a long road, because they were people were being stolen from what they call the African interior, and they would have to walk many miles. And some of those people didn't walk didn't complete the track. They died in transit, just getting to the water, you know, the ocean. And so he's enacting this walk, and I felt it was to manipulate your feelings. And you say, "Oh, the poor black guy." I know this sounds so insensitive. I don't wish to sound insensitive, but this is how it's coming across. You're a big guy, and you're not walking in power. You're walking like a victim, and it's like I'm confused. You're born there, raised there. I mean, not in that country. I don't think he's from that country, but he's doing a video about the country of Benin. And I think when he mentioned that at first that you had different kingdoms and Dahomey who was capturing people. And selling them to the Europeans. But it was said briefly, that interaction, and it was like removed, like they're not really a part of it. I mean, they're like socially removed from the event of slavery, but there was a contact, and that's how it came across. But it triggered something in me. I said, wait a minute. He knows that the history of this particular kingdom, and that they were taking people, whether they be political adversaries or prisoners of war, or what. The fact that people were being subjugated under this ruler. It was a king. So I'm wondering, well, what's the difference then whether this guy, this African king, was obtaining people, taking people out of their will, and then trading them to a second party? What difference does it make whether he's selling it to a European or another African or an Asian? What difference does it make? The victim, it matters to, I mean, you have the victim, you have the same victim. No one wants to become a victim. No one wants to be kidnapped and human trafficked. So I think what the person doing the video was like he's um, trying to appeal to your sensitivity, your vulnerable side, and making you feel like a victim. And how could he feel like a victim if his people, if his lineage was not enslaved? The fact that he's still in Africa, that means he wasn't traded. He lives on the continent. He wasn't enslaved. So why act like I could understand someone of the African diaspora who was forcibly removed and later to become enslaved in the Americas. And yes, they were also brought to Europe as well. Who knows where else? But I felt he was, I don't know. Why are you doing that? I had gone out with this guy actually he was from Nigeria. He was a student, a college student, attended an Ivy League school. I shared this before. Now he comes from money. And he's living with his mom here in the States while he goes to his Ivy League school here in New York City. And he said, oh, well, now I didn't bring up the subject, but he brought it up. He said, well, my grandfather, he said that the slave trade never happened and that black people came to America free will. This is a Nigerian. Nigeria was a major slave port where many of the slaves were taken from and deported from as well. People were being taken all over. And then they had to leave go to the coast area and with their ships, and then they ship them out. And I was just like, how could he say that? And you have dungeons and things like that in Nigeria to this day. They have the artifacts, all that. How could he say that? You had people being taken from Nigeria in the late 18. Was that? Remember in Alabama, people. Oh, was it Alabama? You remember they were taking people. It was a bet that was made with these rich white people in the South of America. I mean, the southern states of the United States, I meant to say. And the bet was if you could smuggle in more people from Africa. And so the ship comes in. And some of those people won that bet. But 2 years later, slavery officially ended. So that was like they were stolen around and brought in 1863, and the war ended in 1865 about. They knew where they were. And they knew what country they came from because they just arrived. You have in Brazil, because remember Brazil ended slavery much later than the U.S. And at the end of slavery, because there was an embargo blocking the import of new slaves directly from Africa. But in some countries like South America, the practice was still being done. They were stealing Africans and enslaving them. And when slavery ended in these regions in South America, many of them went back home. They knew what countries they were from. And there's a documentary on it that they went back to Nigeria. They knew where they were from. And I was just learning this for the first time, I think, last year. I thought it was very exciting. I think I might have asked myself that question. What about those who knew where they're from? They were, when slavery ended, let's say they were here as a child, they would know what people they come from, and they might be able to go back home. And this did happen. So how could that guy that I went out with, uh, in an Ivy League school, and his grandfather telling him that slavery never happened, that it didn't happen, that they left free will. This is what you call guilt, maybe. Maybe he knows that his family contributed to the demise of many people. You could call it the Wild Wild West. West Africa was the Wild Wild West. People were making money. People were doing commerce. People were trading everything. And unfortunately, they were trading in people. So am I watching this program? So this is what's going through my mind. I said, wait a minute. You weren't taken from there, and you may be from descendants that might have sent those people out there as slaves. And it's being taught in Africa, West Africa, that it never happened. Yet you have all these slave ports and documentation from the event. So I didn't take him seriously. I did not take him seriously at all. And I felt like maybe he was pandering, because now it sells. Selling, victimization sells on the internet. So he's a big black guy, and it looked like he was moping, like he was like all sad, walking down this road where people were being human trafficked. And I just felt I was being played to. I said, wait a minute. Why are you getting so emotional about something that didn't happen to you? His story, I mean, the fact that he's still there. And if they really cared about those people who were kidnapped and brought overseas, how come they never ask us to come back home? They get news. I've never heard them say, hey, come back. Why are they saying, having us come back? Well, okay, I have to back up a little bit. Well, now it's like a movement on social media for Black Americans or Black of the African diaspora of the Americas to go back to Africa. And I was really for it. If that's your choice, go for it. And to learn about your roots. Oh, I'd love to learn about what tribe I might have been from, or what type of foods they ate, and all that. I would love it. I embrace it. But watching the program, it just sparked an awareness in me. The fact that the kingdoms that he addressed were people that initiated a trade, and it was a trade against other people. But again, they might be from a different tribe. People were also selling their relatives. They didn't like them. They just, hey, and they exploited it. It was the wild, wild west of Africa. Greed was, wow, so much greed. And you look at those nations that benefited off of the transatlantic slave trade. They're doing extremely well in comparison to others. Look at those nations in Europe. You know, those nations in Europe that get the most visitors are the ones that were part of the slave trade. Like I was told that France is the number one country of visitors from around the world. I've been in France and I loved it. You look at it, it's a former heyday. It was really nice, very nice buildings. Same as Britain and Holland and Spain and Portugal. All those nations were part of the slave trade, and they're doing in comparison very well compared to other nations. So what was the other thing about the program? Yeah, I feel like there's almost like a pandering that to feel sorry for yourself. When I feel that way, I mean, sometimes I can feel bad about myself, whatever. I can get in a pity party. Oh yes, but I don't like. I don't want to stay in it, and I don't want to feel I'm being pandering to feel like a victim. That I'm supposed to feel like a victim. I'm supposed to act out now, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to pander to it. I don't want to be pulled into it. If he's so socially aware, um, aren't the other people in this community, don't they know about us or the other countries? Um, See, they were under colonialism. Things were happening on both sides. Africans were experiencing colonialism, so they were being abused by them. Some were forced to work, like in Congo. If they didn't do certain things, the Belgian Congo, notorious, notorious the things that happened to them. Um, and I feel like yeah, it's very trending right now. Africans getting more into their roots and going back home. But I feel that why now? Why are some of the West African nations inviting with the black diaspora to come back? And when I'm gathering that most of it is all economic to make African countries rich off of us. And that's what I feel. And that's what I'm angry about. So if you know the guy that's given the history, he was saying a lot of things I just didn't know about. But it just sparked an awareness or, a thought. If these kingdoms, as they call it, was the ones that were entrapping, kidnapping. So, oh God, I'm losing train of thought. I'm sorry. Um, what does this all mean? Why are they doing this? I feel that it is pandering us because of economics. I feel like they don't want us. They want what's in our hands. They don't want us, I feel. They want what you can do for them economically. Now again, it's your prerogative. Yes, it's rough here at times, the social climate. And I love the idea of being people of similar ancestry. And so you might think it's going to be safer there. But is it safer there? Wait a minute, is it really safe for us to go there? And what if our numbers become so large over there in West Africa or other parts? People don't necessarily have to go to West Africa. You have people going to East Africa or South Africa, or I should say Southern Africa. And I'm afraid that maybe our numbers might get too large and they may not like us. We're being encouraged to start businesses. That's what I hear. Let's start a business. Let's change this or that. But I don't hear, hey, let's embrace, let's assimilate. If you're going back home, let's assimilate back to our original culture. I'm not hearing that much. I'm hearing about let's changing it. Let's do this or that. And some people don't like change. And maybe the native-born people, they may not want to change. They might like the old way. It's all they know. I don't want to feel like I'm being pandered and manipulated. I mean, those of you who want to go for it. But I'm wondering, hey, how are you going to really be received? This one girl early in the week, I should say girl, woman, she was visiting a country, and she got mistreated. She was an American girl, and she's living in another African country. She left it. She at first went to Mexico, a beautiful place, but she really wanted, I think really because of what she looks like. She's very unique features. And being 6 foot tall adds to that. And maybe she doesn't want that type of attention because she's very physically very unique. And she'll feel more comfortable in an African environment. Where she went, and one thing that does happen in some regions in the world is that even though it might be a place of color, as it's called oftentimes, but they may still pander to white people or white Europeans. She had gone to get something to eat. She went to a restaurant, this black woman. And she said that the table next to her was a white and Asian couple, 2 ladies. And she was curious about what they were drinking. She asked, she quite, hey, that looked interesting. And they claimed that they didn't know what they were drinking. So she gets the waiter and says, hey, I would like what they're having. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? They said she has to show that she has money before she is given it. So it suggests, logic is if those white and Asian women didn't know what they were drinking, so most likely they weren't told about the price either. You wouldn't say, oh, I don't know what this is, but I got money, Oh, money's no object. It wasn't an object for them. It wasn't an issue, or was it made an issue upon these women? If it was that exceedingly expensive, and the women didn't know what it was what they were drinking, then they weren't asking for something expensive or whatever. They would want to know what it is. Hey, I'd like a drink, please. All right. You're going to get you something so damn expensive that if a black person going to ask, oh, they have to show the money first. I doubt that happened. Like that. But they offended that woman. And she eventually left that country. She was to stay for 3 months, and she left after 2 months. Yeah, it's a awakening that, see, we may call ourselves black or African, like a label, like it's all the same, right? And you go there, and you're gonna stand there like a sore thumb. You go there, and you have a concert, and I speak to myself also. I'm saying this to myself also. Yes, we're so conditioned in America to think of ourselves as one thing. We're many things to many people. We have different blends, different racial blends, some of us. And then you're going to reintroduce yourself to the continent, speaking a different language than where we came from, different religion, maybe, different phenotype, and we stand out. And I'm wondering, how will we really be received? I would love to go, actually. I want to go. I like to visit um, West Africa and other places. Um, I want something a little different. I'm really excited about trying some of the foods. Yeah, especially Morocco. I would love to go to Morocco. I love the clothing that they have. Some of the ladies wear the food. Oh, the food in particular. I'm just very attracted to what it looks like, and some of the other foods I saw in other parts of the continent. Um, I wouldn't mind trying, but it's all by perception. When you go over there, you're not going to have the same accent as them. Just you have people from Africa come to United States of America. They look a little different than the average black fellow, lady, or man or woman. Their accent is different. Their body type is different. They're different. Even if they wear American clothes, they look different. In general, in New York City, you have a lot of new Africans here, and they have a very distinct look, and that's okay. I think the awareness that I'm having is that we feel certain ways about them, and they can have certain feelings about us. It goes back and forth. So by perception, if this man was really, if this man is legit about his emotions, being born and raised and living on the continent and discussing about slavery, it would have been interesting how he became so sensitized to it. Or is it just social media? And that maybe, they're hearing all these news in America, and it's something to, like a topic that you could talk about for views. Hey, look what's happening in America. Everybody's talking about race. Hey, let us get in on it. Let's talk about it. And it's hard for me to relate to that because if you live there, um, and your government is run by people from the continent, so how could you then blame just white people for the problem? I don't know. That's what's bothering me, because he made it that the guy said very clearly that there was an exchange of, buyer and seller. So how could you just get angry at Europe? And it's how he worded it, like it was just something that white people were doing, when it was a collective, whites and blacks. And again, in those days, in the 1600s, 1500s, 1600s, the term of white and black wasn't really a term used. You were, your nationality or your tribe. They didn't say, oh, that white or black person, but they talk about where they're from. That's what it was about. Where you're from, what's your nationality, what's your language, what's your religion. It's not about skin color, but it became that. Thing of color, about color, that was developed over time. It was a collective. And when he spoke of that, that's when it really clicked in me and started really having me think. So you had what I thought the pandering, and then he's mentioned history, things I never knew about. He talked about the Dahomey kingdom and other groups. The whole thing was a collective. It just wasn't one-sided. But it got out of hand. I got that impression. The whole slave trade became the wild, wild west of West Africa and its interior. And that the people who were selling the people were emotionally removed from them. They weren't there weren't anybody of interest to them. But then the Europeans started generalizing. They in the Americas, a triracial, color-based system was established, and the black labor was established to be the slave caste, and that they even extended it to the people who were selling them, the other African people. And it backfired on the African. They got outsmarted by the European. And then colonialism. So I wrote a comment on his thing. That basically that they got back, they got outsmarted. And, basically you got to, you have to be wise and just as cunning. And to love your own. Love your family, love your own. And play it smart. And I said this before, play it like the people from Saudi Arabia. They're very smart at what they do in doing business with Europeans. The Arab nations, that it was what do you call it? A nomadic group. They didn't have any central home. They were nomads, living on a desert, a literal desert, where sand prevails. And somehow they outsmarted the European. They're doing very well. And I feel that West Africa and the rest of Africa has to wise up and stop. It's like I look at some of these videos on Africa, and that they're very trusting. And I said, don't they need to wake? They need to wake up. Why aren't they? They don't know what happened in history. Even in West Africa. Remember that guy Kofi? Where was he from? Was he from Ghana? He married a white woman. Some guy from West Africa, president, and they didn't like they said that Europeans didn't like that he had a white wife, and they did something to him, but he eventually came back. I think they kidnapped him or something, but he got back on the continent and got his son got in power. Yeah, the son ran for office or something, and he became a leader or something like that. But yeah, so you know about all this in history, but you allow them positions and relationships with people higher up, and they're influencing you rather you influencing them. Start wising up. You marrying into their families is not protecting you, it's exploiting you, in my opinion. I mean, marry who you love, marry who you want to marry. That's your business. Relationships and stuff like that is your business. But how it be used against you, it would be used against you. Even people in entertainment, who they're marrying. Is this person just for the ride? Or they're going to suck you dry, and when you get a divorce, who's going to get all the money? Hello, people. You see social media, you see what happens in these relationships. Who gets the money? Yeah, it's a sensitive issue for everybody. Um, one minute they want you to feel like a victim of history, and then you're going to mention in the same history that people from the continent exploited exploited the people that they lived by, and it backfired on them. And then now they're going to be saying that it was a white people event, or it was their fault. It takes two to tango. The guy himself said they were trading. So it just put me in a different mindset. And I started thinking, boy, do I really, want to go there? Do I want to go to a place with a mindset of feel like a victim? And to this day, blaming Europeans for all their problems. When are we going to take responsibility for our actions? When are we going to start? I don't know. Yeah, it's very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. Yeah, that movie, I mean, the video really, yeah, I just felt he was pandering and pulling, like really pulling at you, your sore spot. It doesn't really affect them. But it affects people who are living in the Americas of African ancestry. What's happening? Wow. Yeah, so much. Yeah, so much for the kingdoms. Yeah, there are a lot of. They were. So like in the U.S., you hear that a lot. They, you might hear things like, "Oh, we come from kings and queens." Yeah, those kings and queens of Africa are the ones that sold you into slavery. Hello, people. Yes, those kings and yes, you come out from kings and queens. You literally came out from them because they sold you. And now when things are getting bad, they want American blacks to come to the rescue. And it's like not because they want you to come to the they want you, they want your money. They want what's in your hand. They don't want you, they want your money. And now you have some get this. Now you have um, Africans on the continent taking the DNA tests, see if they have a link with someone living in America or in the Americas, and they want to panhandle and say, "Hey, you're a distant relative, your cousin relative. Oh, we need money." Hello, people. Do they want you or do they want your hand? What if you're mixed race? You're mixed with European and African. Where do you sit in that picture? Again, Africa is not a country; it is a continent. And what if you came from this particular country, but you no longer look like those people from that country? And when you go there, you're going to look like and be perceived as a foreigner. How do you handle situations like that? So yeah, I mean it looks like a beautiful land, beautiful land. I just feel like something's happening with the that like it's like a stupor is upon the people. Things that I could clearly see when you're watching some of the videos on on the continent, and you're seeing people's behavior and actions. And don't they realize what's happening? So yeah, I don't. It just really shook me that that video. It was just you know a young YouTuber who is living on the continent, who is discussing about ancient African history of West Africa and its diaspora. It's just a place, and things could happen to any of us. So that's all I really want to say about that. Yeah, I just felt it was important. Yeah, it's really a big phenomenon now. It seems like on social media, people are being encouraged to what do you call it? Become digital nomads. That's a new term I learned last year. Digital nomads. Go to these different countries. You can live and work in all these different countries. Don't I'm wondering now, how did that come about? The work over abroad with the social media. Was it just strictly the virus situation? Yeah, it's like all of a sudden they want people, they're really pushing it now. People go on social media and make money, make money. It's an obsession. I can't stop watching social media without these commercials and telling you to start a digital, what do you call it, internet business. I don't know. Where's this money going to? Who's getting it? And when you do pay to go over, where's this money going to? This is just food for thought. Again, it's your life is a personal one, and you do what fits best for you and your family if you have one. Yeah, I wish you all well, but you just ask yourself these questions. Is it really all that bad where you live? Or not? Okay. So let me go, people. I hope you all enjoyed this live stream. Yeah, it's early morning and I gotta get to sleep. I just wanted to get that off my chest. And yes, and again, condolences to Ivana Trump. She was used to be married to Donald Trump. She was his first wife, and she carried herself well. She raised her children, and yes, she remarried. She married a very young man. I don't know whether she stayed married with him, but she wanted to not let her divorce destroy her. And she made fun of herself on when she did cameos in the movies or on TV. So may she rest in power. Okay, yes. Uh, Someone who lived in New York City where I live. So yes, condolences to her friends and family, and a wake-up call to blacks around the world. What's really going on? Are we just pandering each other? Are we just for economic um, interest rather than um, shared heritage? Yeah. So let me go. Take care and enjoy your day. Bye bye.